everyone, my name is Morgan. I am a case manager at Creative Family Connections, a surrogacy agency and law firm based out of the DC area. Today, I'm here to talk about a few reasons why you need a birth plan if you're going on a surrogacy journey. The first reason why you need a birth plan is because the birth plan is a great way to establish a solid hospital contact. The first step that your case manager will take in the drafting process of your birth plan is to reach out to the hospital and get a sense of all of their policies and how they might affect your journey. One of the biggest policies that might affect your surrogacy delivery is the support persons policy. Each hospital is different and they might not typically allow the amount of support persons that the group is hoping for. Throughout the birth plan drafting process, your case manager will work with that hospital contact to come up with a solution that works for everyone. And once the birth plan is drafted and finalized, your hospital contact will have an opportunity to review the birth plan to triple check that everyone is on the same page going into delivery. The next reason why you need a birth plan if you're going on a surrogacy journey is the birth plan is a great time to iron out all of those final big decisions that need to be made before delivery. Your case manager will talk to each party individually on these big decisions to make sure everyone's in alignment before going into the big day. So first, let's talk about a few decisions that the gestational carrier will make on her own with support of her case manager. First, they'll discuss where her comfort level lies with photography and videography. Next, they'll discuss if she has any preference where the support persons stand in the delivery room. And lastly, they'll discuss pumping. Now, pumping could be a video in and of itself, but at this stage in her pregnancy, she'll come up with a plan and decide whether or not she intends on pumping after delivery. This is a great example of something that we talk about in the beginning of the journey, but her thoughts and feelings about it might have changed over the course of the pregnancy. Next, let's talk about a few decisions that the intended parents will need to make individually with support of their case manager. The intended parents will decide whether or not they're hoping to cut the umbilical cord. The intended parents will also take this time to decide whether or not they'd like to receive breast milk from their gestational carrier. If she doesn't plan on pumping, they can decide whether or not they'd like to look into donor milk or if they'd like to formula feed their baby. Lastly, they'll decide whether or not they're interested in collecting cord blood. This is another topic that could be a video in and of itself, but in short, some intended parents decide that they would like to collect and store cord blood for future use. First, the group will need to decide what will happen if the intended parents unfortunately miss delivery. More specifically, where the baby or babies will stay in that event. This topic is interesting because, of course, if the intended parents prefer that the baby or babies stay in the nursery in that case, that's their decision alone to make. However, if they reach out to their case manager and say, I would really prefer that our child stays in the gestational carrier's room in that event, the case manager will reach out to the surrogate and ask her thoughts and feelings on it. Lastly, and this one's more straightforward, the group will discuss what everyone's comfort level looks like for posting on social media. Another reason why you need a birth plan if you're going on a surrogacy journey is to iron out all of those what-if scenarios. Some of the most common what-if scenarios that come up during the birth plan process are, what happens if there's a C-section? What happens if the intended parents miss delivery? Or what happens if the intended parents make delivery, but there's unfortunately not enough space on the labor and delivery unit for them to have a private room with their baby? Those are just a few of the what-if scenarios that we run through during the birth plan process, and the answers to those questions will vary case by case. The next reason why you need a birth plan if you're on a surrogacy journey is to help avoid potentially awkward or uncomfortable situations. Throughout this video, I'm sure you've noticed that there's a few very important topics and also potentially very sensitive topics that need to be discussed during the birth plan process. Your case manager is a valuable resource and advocate in navigating all of these questions before delivery and outlining them in your birth plan. And the last reason why you need a birth plan if you're on a surrogacy journey is to make sure that everyone's on the same page with the plan for billing, insurance, and legal paperwork. This is the most boring, but definitely one of the most important reasons why having a birth plan is essential. On delivery day, no one wants the stress of worrying about what to expect with billing and insurance and making sure it's processed correctly. I could think of so many more reasons why having a birth plan is essential, but these are just my top 5 reasons.